Thanks so much to AG1 for sponsoring this video. Since I turned 18, I've spent the last 9-ish years immersed in all things finance and business, reading personal finance books, working as a corporate lawyer, and also running multiple businesses. And in that time, I've learned a huge amount about accounting, taxes, income, debt, basically all about money. The lessons that I've learned have radically changed what I do with my own money each month. And so in this video, I'm going to be sharing the 5 old bad money habits of mine that prevented me from building wealth and how I've fixed them. So let's dive straight in. And the first bad money habit is paying tax, then saving. When I started out as a trainee lawyer 3 years ago, I was earning £48,000. Now, I knew that in order to build wealth, I would obviously have to save some money and that I should be investing some money. And so I started using the paycheck that I received to put £500 a month into general index funds like the S&P 500. Essentially, the plan was just to leave that money there, not touch it for 30-ish years, hopefully have got good returns by the time I want to retire. But I didn't realize that this strategy was costing me thousands of pounds a year. Then fast forward 2 years and I was earning £125,000 following basically the same strategy of putting some of my salary away each month. And that strategy by now was costing me tens of thousands of pounds a year. Now, on the surface, it's absolutely right that I was saving money, investing that money, hopefully to get good returns and leaving that money for the long term. The problem was that I wasn't doing it in the most tax efficient way possible. Look, tax is, over the course of our lives, probably the biggest expense we'll ever pay. It's absolutely right that people who earn more money pay more tax, but there are strategies employed by multi-millionaires, billionaires to reduce their tax liabilities. And if they're able to benefit from tax breaks in a legal way, so should we, in my opinion. So if you're saving and investing for the long term, basically for retirement in the UK, the US, and elsewhere, and you should Google the regime wherever you're from, there are schemes that allow you to contribute prior to paying tax into a pension plan. So essentially, instead of paying tax on the whole of your salary and then saving some of what's left over, you instead save some of your bigger salary and then only pay tax on the bit that you didn't save. You pay tax on your salary minus what you've invested into your pension up to certain limits. So in the UK, it's currently £60,000. In the US for 401ks, I think it's $22,500. But again, look it up online. There's tons of resources around about this stuff. You just need to find out what the regime is wherever you're from. So let me just give you an example of the impact this has had on my own personal finances. I was earning 6 months ago £125,000. I was paying 4% into my pension, which is £5,000. I had a take home after pension contributions after tax of £65,000 a year, so total £70,000. And I was then investing £20,000. So overall, pension plus investments, $25,000, and the remaining cash, $45,000. If you roll forward to today, I'm contributing 24% of my salary to my pension, meaning I only pay tax on 76% of my overall salary. Now, obviously, this is pretty extreme. I have a high salary, so I'm able to contribute a very significant proportion of that salary to my pension, but the effect is the same whether you just double your contributions from 2 to 4% or 4 to 8%. But as a result, I'm putting a crazy £30,000 a year into my pension. My take-home salary is still £55,000 because of the tax benefits of doing this, meaning rather than £70,000 before, I'm actually earning effectively £85,000, £15,000 more a year, and then investing £10,000 of the £55,000 take-home, meaning that my cash is exactly the same as it was before. I just have £10,000 of investments outside of a pension rather than 20, but I have £30,000 in my pension rather than 5. So obviously it's highly dependent on your personal financial position, how much money you earn, and the tax regime wherever you're from. There are 2 points I just want to be clear on here. One is that obviously you can't access your pension until you're much older, and so if you think there's a chance you'll need some of that money, it might be better to put it into more liquid investments that you can access in the short to medium term. The second is that, at least in the UK, you should look up wherever you're from. I will then have to pay tax on that money that I access from my pension, subject to a tax-free lump sum, but by the time I retire, I'll probably be earning quite a lot less than I am now, and so the tax burden on me should be much lower. So essentially, wherever you're from, look up what the tax regime is around saving for the long term and for your pension. Okay, next we have paying yourself last. So essentially, no matter how big or small your salary is, we all have things that we have to spend money on, rent, mortgage, etc. And then stuff that we choose to spend money on, holidays, takeaways, TV subscriptions, clothes, tech, presents. And we make those buying decisions based on how much money we think we have. The problem comes when your spending matches or even worse exceeds your income. So you you get halfway through the month, you see you've got quite a lot of money in your account, you decide to have an Amazon splurge on a new Menos backpack, some AirPods, and a lovely present for your hot date. But you didn't actually have that money to spend if you were following the 50-30-20 rule. Now, this rule is essentially that you have 50% of your outgoings on things you have to spend money on, 30% on wants, stuff like holidays and TV subscriptions and presents for a hot date, and 20% then on savings or paying down long-term debt like your mortgage, depending on the current financial climate. By looking at your account, seeing you have money to spend and then spending it, you're essentially following a 50-50 rule where you leave nothing to save at the end of the month. Now, the percentage split across those three buckets is up to you, but in the US, the savings rate as of July 2023 was just 3.5% of salary. So to avoid spending money that you want to instead dedicate to saving, instead of waiting until the end of the month, seeing what's left over and then saving that, you instead pay yourself first. You save money right at the start of the month automatically by direct debit, transfer it to a savings account or an investment account, and it will be like you never received that money. It's like a tax on yourself. So up to this point, you then have money automatically going into your pension in hopefully a tax efficient manner. You then have money that you're saving or investing that's going straight out of your account like you never had it. And then everything that's left over is money to spend, first on essentials and then on stuff you choose to buy. Okay, so before we go into the next three habits, there's one thing that I'm absolutely happy to spend money on every month, and that is AG1, today's sponsor. AG1 is a daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports your body's all-round needs. Through a science-driven formulation of micronutrients, phytonutrients, and essential symbiotics, AG1 supports the brain, gut, and the immune system. Recommended by doctors and neuroscientists like Dr. Andrew Huberman, AG1 very quickly became an essential part of my morning routine. AG1 gets rid of the need to have tons of different supplements with 75 whole food sourced ingredients that are body compatible and easily absorbed. Drinking AG1 is a habit that fits perfectly into my busy life, helping me prioritize health and well-being while I push myself to achieve more. I historically relied on coffee to get me going in the morning and then throughout the day, but drinking too much caffeine has significant downsides in terms of overall focus and sleep quality. Drinking AG1 though, which contains energy supporting ingredients from a natural form of B12 to biotin and magnesium, has meant I've reduced coffee intake to just 1 cup a day. I've also struggled with stomach issues in the past, often exacerbated by stress, but AG1's prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and other whole food nutrients soothe my stomach while promoting gut health. It's incredibly convenient with just 1 scoop or travel pack of AG1 needed and water so you can take it anywhere. You can go to drinkag1.com/Liam Porritt to get started on your order. AG1 is giving you wonderful people a free 1-year supply of AG vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Bad money habit number 3 is not tracking your finances. People who know how much money they have, what debt they have, what other assets they have, who also know roughly what their monthly spending is and what their income is, will build wealth. Now, unfortunately, money is this kind of taboo-ish topic that people don't like talking about. They often generally don't like thinking about, and people, I think, often get overwhelmed because of that. But fundamentally, your finances are dictated by 3 things: your assets and your liabilities, your income, and your expenses. So to fundamentally change how you approach money, I recommend taking the following 4 steps, which I've taken in other videos, so you can go and watch those if you're interested. First of all, work out your net worth. Work out what all of your assets are. That's equity in a house, cars, cash, a bank account, savings, investments, pension plans. Then subtract your liabilities, any student debt, any other debt, to give you a grand total of your net worth. This is your current starting point from which you're going to look to build wealth. The second step is to track your spending. So figure out across all of your current accounts, credit cards, how much you're spending each month on 1, your needs, stuff like rent, mortgage, etc., and your wants, and which of those wants are absolutely necessary, really give you pleasure, and which could you perhaps cut back on. Third, calculate your real hourly wage. So take your post-tax income, subtract from that any additional expenses associated with doing your job, stuff like buying clothes for work or commuting, or for example, for me, living in a very central London location to make my commute cheaper, what's the additional cost of my rent? Subtract all of that from your monthly earnings, then work out how many hours you spend a month working, include stuff like time spent commuting, and then divide your actual income minus all of those expenses by the number of hours you spend working each month, and that is your real hourly wage. And from now on, whenever you're going to make a purchasing decision, you think, you know what, I fancy a new Apple Watch. It's going to cost me £700, but probably worth it. Hey, not going to think about it. Instead, think that would have taken me 72 hours of my life to earn. Is 72 hours worth a slightly upgraded Apple Watch? Probably not. Purchasing decision made, informed by your life energy that you had to exchange, i.e. the hours you had to spend working in order to make that purchase. So step 4 is based on all of those things you've just worked out to change your spending and increase your saving to grow wealth. So I've made videos of me doing all of the things I just described. So if you want to follow along with those, go down into the description and there'll be 3 videos for you to watch, work through with me, and then you'll be in a much stronger financial position. Okay, so clearly if you're failing to save or invest each month, you're not going to build wealth. But there's another bad habit that people often have when they're actually investing money into the market, and that is trying to beat the market. When you invest in an asset, you're essentially saying that you think that the price of that asset will go up over time. And there are so many factors that dictate whether an asset's price, be it oil, real estate, or a share in a company, go up or down. That, for example, in a 2020 report, it was found that 90% of actively managed funds, i.e. funds where professionals are deciding what to invest people's money in, fail to beat the market. i.e. those funds would have been better off if they just put their money in the general index fund that tracks companies in that country, rather than trying to pick specific companies saying, I think that company's going to do well, or that company's going to do well, and I don't think those are. Essentially, if professionals can't beat the market by investing in specific stocks or assets, I don't think it's very likely that most people who have relatively little, if any, knowledge of markets, market trends, data analysis, and fundamentals of businesses and how they operate are going to be able to beat the market either. So there are 2 strategies in terms of how not to try to beat the market. The first is to invest in a diversified portfolio of assets. Essentially, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all of your money into shares in Apple just because it's a very high risk strategy. You're essentially saying that you think you know more than the rest of the market, all of the investment professionals, about the stock price of Apple, and that currently it is undervalued and it will go up over time. You could be right, but you could also be wrong, and if you are wrong, it potentially is very costly. That is the brilliance of exchange-traded funds, ETFs, which essentially bring together shares in loads of different companies or different assets into one product that you can buy, and then you just have the hedge risk benefit of being across loads of different companies with one product. The second element of this is don't try to time your investment. So it's actually very difficult to predict when the market is perfectly bottomed out, put all of your money in, and then the market grows. It just doesn't work like that. And so instead of putting all of your money into the market at once in this big splurge where you risk investing up here and the market then coming down, you instead invest slowly over time. So £500 a month every month. And that means that by investing the same day every month, the market will go up and down, but over the long term, it should hopefully go up if you've invested in something that has long-term growth potential. And so by averaging out when you're investing each month, you effectively flatten out the ups and downs in that curve. But the crucial thing on timing is not to wait to enter the market. If we use the example of me saving £100,000 on my 25th birthday and leaving it until I am 60, if I get 8% annual returns, I'll end up at the end of that with £1.48 million. If instead I'm not sure it's quite the right time to invest and I wait for 7 years until I'm 32 to invest that money, at the end of that period with the same 8% annual returns, I end up with £863,000, which is just over half of what I would have had if I'd invested just 7 years earlier. Okay, and the final bad money habit is not learning about personal finance. So we are unlucky in that this isn't taught in school, and it absolutely should be. But we are lucky that we have the internet. We can go online and Google how to save for retirement tax efficiently. You can go away and read all of the personal finance classics I'm going to put along the bottom. These are, for me, the absolute classics, the must reads. And you can then go away and watch some of my other personal finance videos, particularly the ones where I run through working out your net worth, working out your real hourly wage, working out what you're spending each month. And you can also go and watch other channels like Nisha's amazing YouTube channel on personal finance. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. Remember that you can go and watch any of those videos through the links in the description. There's also another video that will be hovering around somewhere here. Please do like, subscribe, comment to let me know what you thought. I always read your comments and I massively appreciate them. And I look forward to speaking again very, very soon.